You ever hear something so jarring it makes your stomach drop, like you just missed a step on the stairs? That's what happened to me on a random Tuesday night. I wasn't eavesdropping. I want to be clear about that. I was grabbing my jacket from the coat rack by the living room, and I heard her voice from the kitchen, loud enough to freeze me mid-step. "He's just a backup plan," she said, laughing. It was Jenna, my girlfriend of almost 3 years, talking to her best friend Liv over speakerphone. I hadn't even known she was on a call. I didn't even fully register what she meant at first. Backup plan? Like in what way? Career stuff? Some inside joke? Then Liv replied, "You mean like, if the other guy doesn't work out?" And Jenna, still laughing, said, "Exactly. I mean, I love Mason. He's sweet, dependable, safe. But if things take off with Adam, I'll finally have someone who gets me." Adam. That name landed like a hammer. Not because I knew who he was, I didn't. But because she didn't even hesitate when she said it. I stood there, jacket in hand, listening to the two of them giggle like they were discussing which flavor of ice cream to pick after dinner, not someone's entire heart. My heart. I didn't storm in, didn't yell, didn't confront her. I just quietly backed away from the hallway and walked straight to the balcony, closed the door, and stared out over the street like my life hadn't just flipped upside down. You think when a relationship ends, it's going to be because of a fight, a betrayal you see coming. But being called a backup plan in your own home, that kind of betrayal slithers under your skin, slow and cold. The next morning, I acted normal. I made her coffee the way she liked it, coconut creamer and 1 cube of sugar. She kissed my cheek and said, "Thanks, babe." I wanted to throw the mug across the room, but instead, I nodded and left for work, because I needed time to think. Over the next few days, I became an actor in my own life. I played the role of Mason, the sweet, dependable boyfriend. The guy she leaned on when work got hard. The guy who picked up her dog from grooming. The guy who watched The Bachelor just to make her smile. And behind the scenes, I gathered what little information I could. Adam was someone from her marketing agency, a new hire, apparently. She'd mentioned him once, vaguely, as the guy who talks too much in meetings. Guess that was part of the act. From what I could piece together through bits of conversation and subtle social media stalking, they'd been messaging for a few weeks. Probably flirting. Maybe more. I wasn't even sure how far it had gone. Didn't matter. Because I knew where I stood now. I was the fallback. The safety net. The dependable plan B. It hurt in a way I can't fully explain. Not like a knife to the chest. More like a slow suffocation. Like realizing the person you'd planned your future with never really saw you as part of hers. So I made a plan. Not a petty revenge plot. Not some dramatic exit. Just a pivot. I started pulling back. Subtle at first. I stopped texting her throughout the day. No more good morning messages or check-ins when I knew she had a tough meeting. I stopped asking about her deadlines or her coworkers, especially Adam. I stopped doing her laundry, stopped picking up her dry cleaning, stopped cooking dinner unless I was making something for myself. Jenna noticed, of course. "Is everything okay?" she asked one night while I was folding my clothes on the bed. "You've been kind of distant lately." "I've just been thinking about some stuff," I said. "Stuff like what?" "Us." She blinked, her expression tightening. "What about us?" "I think we want different things," I said calmly. "You're figuring yourself out. And I guess I'm realizing I've been settling for something that's not fully real." "What does that mean?" she asked, her voice defensive. I didn't answer. I just looked at her for a long time. Not angrily. Not even sadly. Just finally seeing her for who she was. She didn't press. Just nodded slowly and walked out of the room. That weekend, I made a decision. I packed up a few essentials, booked an Airbnb across town for a month, and left her a note. "Jenna, this isn't how I thought things would go between us. But I deserve to be more than a backup plan. I'm stepping away so you can be free to choose what you really want, without me standing in the doorway. No hard feelings. Just clarity. And peace. Mason." Then I left. The weirdest part? I didn't feel broken. I didn't even feel angry anymore. I felt light. Like I'd finally put down something heavy I hadn't realized I was carrying. That same afternoon, I met someone new. It wasn't planned. I was at a bookstore cafe near my Airbnb, trying to distract myself with a slice of banana bread and a fantasy novel I probably wouldn't finish. And she sat across from me by the window. She was humming under her breath, some 80s song I couldn't name, and sketching in a notebook with a pink gel pen. We locked eyes for half a second, and she smiled. "Hey," she said, "don't mean to interrupt your serious banana bread situation, But are you okay? You look like you just walked out of a war zone. I blinked, then laughed, genuinely laughed for the first time in weeks. Something like that, I said. She smiled again and offered her hand. I'm Eliza. I took it. Mason. She didn't know it, but that moment would change everything. I didn't plan on seeing Eliza again. But 2 days later, there she was, same cafe, same table, sketching with a different color gel pen this time. Blue. I gave her a little nod as I passed by, trying not to make it weird. She grinned. Back for more banana bread therapy. I chuckled, a little embarrassed. Guilty. Want to join me? That was it. No awkwardness. No overthinking. Just two strangers sharing a small table by the window and falling into conversation like we'd known each other for years. We talked about everything and nothing. Her job as a freelance illustrator, my recent leap into a startup tech firm, the weirdness of grocery store music. She was quick-witted and a little quirky. Wore mismatched socks on purpose. Claimed she had a sentimental grudge against raisins. And when she laughed, it sounded completely unfiltered, like she didn't care who was listening. It was the first time in a long time that I didn't feel like I was being measured. With Jenna, everything always felt conditional. Like she loved a version of me that existed in her head. I was the dependable one, the steady one, the guy who made her feel safe when the world got overwhelming. But she never really saw me. Eliza, though, she saw me, not as a fallback, not as someone to keep on standby while she figured out something shinier. She just liked being around me, and it felt mutual. We didn't start dating right away. That wasn't the point. In fact, we spent a couple weeks just talking. Long walks, coffee refills, doodling on napkins. She made me a playlist called Songs to Rebuild Your Sanity, filled with everything from Fleetwood Mac to random lo-fi beats. I listened to it on repeat. Meanwhile, back in the Jenna universe, things started to shift. I didn't block her. I didn't need to. But she started texting again after a week of silence. Hey, just checking in. Hope you're okay. I left it on read. Then another message a few days later. I miss you. Can we talk? Still nothing. And then came the hailstorm. I feel like you're punishing me. You're being cold. That's not like you. This isn't fair, Mason. You didn't even give me a chance to explain. That last one. That one made me laugh. Because I'd heard all I needed that night in the kitchen. Explain what? That she loved me enough to keep me around, but not enough to choose me? That I was safe, but not exciting? That Adam, the guy who gets her, ghosted her the moment things got complicated and now I was supposed to step back in like a loyal bench warmer? No thanks. A week later, I ran into Liv at the grocery store. She looked stunned to see me. Mason. Hey. Wow, it's been a minute. I nodded. Yeah. How are you? I'm good. Really good, actually. She hesitated. I think Jenna's been hoping you'd reach out. I'm sure. She knows she messed up. I looked at her, really looked at her. This was the same person who sat in that kitchen and laughed with Jenna about me being the backup. Liv, I said evenly. I'm not mad anymore. But I'm not available either. Her eyes widened slightly. You seeing someone? Not exactly, I said with a shrug. But I'm spending time with someone who actually sees me. That's enough for now. Later that night, Eliza and I went to this outdoor night market. She wore this oversized denim jacket covered in little enamel pins, planets, cats, a tiny rubber duck. She caught me staring and nudged me with her elbow. What? She teased. You're kind of weird, I said with a smile. Thank you, she replied, mock bowing. We grabbed tacos from a food truck, shared a mango smoothie, and browsed through local art stands. She stopped at one booth and picked up a tiny ceramic frog. This guy speaks to me, she said solemnly. Does he? Yeah. He looks like he's seen some stuff, but he's still standing. Frogs have grit. I laughed so hard I choked on my drink. As the night wound down, we found a quiet bench away from the crowd. She pulled her legs up, hoodie sleeves over her hands, eyes scanning the stars overhead. Can I ask you something kind of personal? She said. Sure. Did someone break your heart recently? I nodded. Yeah. She was quiet for a moment. Do you think it's healed yet? I thought about it. About Jenna. About hearing those words. He's just a backup plan. Echo in my mind. Then I looked at Eliza. At the way she waited, patiently, no pressure in her question. No angle. Just care. I think it's healing, I said. And I think being around you is part of the reason why. She didn't say anything. Just leaned her head on my shoulder. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't a grand romantic gesture. But in that moment, I realized something. I'd spent years trying to be enough for someone who never really chose me. And now, without trying, I was becoming someone else's first choice. 3 weeks after that night at the night market, I found myself sitting across from Eliza at a small Italian place she'd wanted to try. She was sipping a lavender lemonade, eyes lit up as she talked about a new project she'd landed, illustrating a children's book about an astronaut dog. She was full of joy and color and realness. I'd never felt more relaxed with someone. Midway through the meal, she looked at me and said, "So, what are we?" I froze. Not because I didn't want to answer, but because I realized I already knew. "I think I'm falling for you," I said. She smiled. "Good. Because I fell already." That was the start. We weren't rushing into anything, but we weren't avoiding it either. It was refreshingly honest. No mind games, no unclear labels, no strategic silences to make the other person want it more. Just two people growing into something together. And then, Jenna showed up again. She texted first. "Saw you tagged in a photo. Who's the girl?" I didn't respond. She followed up the next day. "I'm sorry. I was scared. I didn't know what I wanted back then." Still nothing from me. Then, a voice message. That was a new move. I sat in my car in the grocery store parking lot and hit play. "Hey, it's me. I know you probably hate me right now. I deserve that. But I didn't realize how much I depended on you until you were gone. Adam was a mistake. I was chasing something that doesn't exist. You were always there, always steady. You were home, and I was too blind to see it." She paused, her voice cracking. "I miss you. I miss us. Can we please just talk?" I deleted the message. Later that night, I told Eliza. I felt like she deserved to know. She didn't get jealous, didn't act threatened. Instead, she reached across the table, took my hand, and said, "Thank you for telling me. That means a lot." Then, after a beat, "So, do you want to talk to her?" I shook my head. I already did, just not with words. And it was true. I didn't need to tell Jenna anything. Every step I took toward healing, every hour I spent with Eliza, every moment I chose peace over drama, that was the conversation. And she wasn't a part of it anymore. About a week later, Jenna showed up at the cafe. Eliza wasn't there that day. I was alone, working on my laptop, sipping coffee. She walked in like she didn't quite believe she'd found me. "Mason," she said softly. I looked up. "Hey." She hesitated. "Can we sit? Just for a minute?" I closed my laptop, gave a small nod. She sat down across from me, fingers twisting a ring on her hand that I'd once bought her for our second anniversary. "You look good," she said. "Thanks." I saw the picture. Of you and her. I didn't reply. "She looks happy," she added, a little bitterly. "She is," I said simply. "So am I." Jenna looked down at the table. "I really messed it up, didn't I?" "Yeah," I said, with no malice. "Just honesty. I didn't mean to treat you like a backup. I thought you'd always be there." "I know," I said. That was the problem. She blinked rapidly, trying to hold back whatever emotion was rising. "I thought maybe we could try again. I'm with someone now. She doesn't know you like I do." "You're right," I said. "She knows me better." Jenna flinched like I'd slapped her, but I didn't feel cruel. I felt free. She didn't argue, just nodded slowly, stood up, and walked away. That was the last time I saw her. Fast forward 6 months. Eliza and I were sprawled on my couch on a lazy Sunday afternoon, watching reruns of a cooking show neither of us had any intention of recreating. She was sketching something, another frog, I think, and I was pretending to read while secretly watching her out of the corner of my eye. She looked up. "What?" "Nothing," I said, smiling. "Just thinking." "About what?" "How glad I am that I overheard that conversation." She raised an eyebrow. "The one with your ex?" "Yep. Wouldn't that usually be a painful memory?" "It was," I admitted. "At first. But now? It's the moment everything changed. The moment I stopped being someone's backup and became someone else's first choice." She set down her sketch pad and leaned over, kissing my cheek. "I'm glad too," she whispered. "Because you were never a backup, Mason. You were always meant to be someone's main character." I smiled and pulled her close. Not because I needed her to fill a void. Not because I was trying to prove a point. But because she saw me. And this time, I wasn't part of someone's plan B. I was exactly where I was supposed to be. The first choice. Every time.